because they have just had a few years of knowledge, and the student then feels a bit inferior. So I think the whole education system can be radically changed. A lot of thought has gone into it, but we are so success oriented, we are afraid to fail. So when you are afraid to fail, fear decides. And today, fear is making us not take the adventure of creating a new way of living, a new way of educating, a new way of learning. Things are changing dramatically, right? Whatever you know today is no longer secure in the future. So don't seek security in knowledge. Knowledge is changing day by day. Your security is in your capacity to learn. Your security is in intelligence. So discover what it means to be intelligent now. Discover what it means to face an uncertainty all around you. So the ability to live in the middle of uncertainty is the capacity which will give you intelligence, and that intelligence will make you secure. Right? Also, after all, what are the factors of insecurity? Let's explore this. One of the biggest insecurity for human beings is other human beings. Right? Understanding the nature of the human mind is very important, because they are your factors of insecurity. So understanding your relationship with people and people's relationship with you. If in the ways in which you function, if you are creating conflict for others, if you are creating pain for others, if you are creating anxiety for people, then that anxiety, that pain, that conflict is going to be reflected back on you. So you have to find a way of relating intelligently with people. There is security in right relationship. There is also security when you understand fear. We are so afraid, and nobody has educated us to learn about fear. We are afraid of old age, we are afraid of disease, we are afraid of failure, we are afraid of the image that society has of us, we are afraid of low grades. Why is there so much fear? Because fear creates insecurity. So, shall we explore fear a little bit? Fear has to do with a thought of the future. Fear is a thought. And if we know what it means to live fully in the now, then fear will recede. Have you noticed how so many times you are imagining things which is creating insecurity, and reality turns out to be very different from your imagination? So why do we imagine things? Can we take things as they come with a quality of mind which is carefully observing, with intelligence? Then insecurity is largely something created by us, by not knowing how to think correctly. Well, we need memory. Without memory, I wouldn't be able to speak. And all the things that we have created is based on knowledge. knowledge is a record of all our experiences and all our discoveries in memory. Computers are based on memory. So memory surely is a part of learning and education. But what is thinking? What is reflecting? What is investigating? If these questions are not part and parcel of our education, then I am just accepting what somebody has investigated. I'm just a passive recipient of what the scientists have done. So I think it's very important in education that experimentation, inquiry, exploration is encouraged. The other thing is, what is the right place of memory in living? Memory, after all, is the past. And when the past becomes too important, it interferes with the present. And after all, experiencing is in the now. So we need to experience things afresh. We mustn't allow the past to interfere with the now. When we have too much knowledge, when we are full of opinions, when we have too many ideas of everything, the innocence of learning diminishes. Right?
Yes.
You need innocence, you need humility to learn. And the quality of not knowing, curiosity, a certain playfulness are extremely important if learning has to be alive. So memory must be put in its right place. That's a really important question, is it not, for all of us, not only the students, but the teachers, and later on when we go out into the world. What does one do with one's time? What does one do with the self? Let's see what we are actually doing with our time. By and large, if you observe, either we are concentrating on some goal, trying to solve a certain problem, and so we spend time achieving certain results. And this is the process of building the self. In this process of achievement, you feel you are important. So we are trying to be important, and time then becomes very important, precious, and with that comes a lot of tensions, pressures. So that's one side, concentration. The other side is we try to forget ourselves. We try to get absorbed in something. So we want a lot of pleasure. So what are we actually doing with our time? We're getting absorbed and get drunk, or get into a passive mode of watching a game of football, or we are absorbed in some drug, in some pleasurable activity. Now, absorption is a state where thought, time, the self are not important. So either we make them very important through concentration, or we try to drown ourselves, drown the self into a kind of unconsciousness. So absorption is an unconsciousness. Now, is there something entirely different from becoming utterly unconscious or becoming too self-conscious? Interesting question, isn't it? Have you ever asked this? Is there a way of paying attention which means to see that our brain is totally gathered, that we are looking at something with all our being, listening to something with all our being. It may be something out there, a bird, a tree. We are not absorbed in the bird. We are watching the bird. When you so watch, or when you listen to some sounds, the brain is alive. We are attentive. So, attention is very different from concentration or absorption. And most of us are attentive from time to time, but do we pay attention to the within? Which means, are we attentive to the inward nature of consciousness itself? What is the mind? Is it noisy, full of thoughts, full of desires, greed, fears, anger, violence, boredom? So whatever states that are there within, are we judging them, either condemning them or justifying them, or we have discovered the art of paying attention? So we are paying attention to the within. Have you noticed when you are really attentive, the mind is very quiet. It's not dull. It's not absorbed. So our education has emphasized concentration. Concentration is putting all your energy on a particular subject. And you will notice that when you are concentrating, you are excluding the rest of the world. So there is constantly a certain tension, a conflict, when the rest of the world wants to come in, but you are excluding it. So concentration often is linked to conflict, though it brings an achievement, which builds the self. I think that's a very important question, the future. The way things are, technology is becoming more and more important. Things are changing very fast. As knowledge is increasing, we are able to come up with more and more capable gadgets. And unfortunately, we are all becoming gadget-minded. Just see how much time we are spending pressing buttons on mobiles, on laptops, on computers, and how much time we are sitting before screens, frames. We are ourselves getting framed. Things are becoming more and more defined. And we are conforming. We are conforming to patterns. And the whole advertisement industry, the media, are very cleverly exploiting our tendency to get hooked. And all this is happening largely because we are not aware of ourselves. We are not aware of our bodies. We are not aware of our thought processes. We are afraid to remain with uncertainty, with questions to which we don't have an answer. Everything has become quick fix. Do we see that? Do you see that our capacity to pay attention is getting very limited? Very quickly we judge. And we say, oh, this I'm not interested in. We don't even listen. a certain kind of superficiality in conduct is also happening. So, if this is the present, that's what our future is going to be. So, if we want a different future, what we do now is extremely important. How we face the complex issues which are within us and which are in society out there. There's a crisis. I don't know if you're willing to see this, or we just want to dodge it for the moment. It's too much for us. And then the crisis is going to mount, as it is. I'm afraid youth have a very important role to play in shaping this planet. I'm sure you are all aware that hundreds of species of life is being wiped out every month. What has taken millions of years for nature to create, and such diversity, such beauty, such richness, our existence, our concern for comfort, our concern for just having more and more goods with which we are filling up our emptiness, our boredom, is taking a big toll on life on this planet. So, what kind of future do you want? The new generations, are we going to leave behind a polluted planet? Are we going to leave behind a society which is going towards mindless entertainment? Or is the youth going to bring about a thoughtful, a sensitive, an intelligent way of living, where the young are educated in a totally different environment, where they can be themselves, discover who they are, have an atmosphere where there is affection, where there is intelligent stimulation, not mindless stimulation, where there is an adventure to living. And it is the youth, I think, as they grow up, if they feel responsible, if they feel connected, they will be able to do something different. Otherwise, what is the future?